Hey guys, back with some more Bazaar. This is Foganator, and we've got a guide video today. The number one Stelle player, Little Monk, released a guide on how he's been playing. He currently has an 87% win rate on Stelle, meaning that out of all the games that he plays, he gets 10 wins 87% of the time. Just a reminder to like, subscribe, drop a comment down below. It really helps out the channel a lot, and let's get straight into it. So, there's kind of like 3.5 different builds. So the first one is the all flying build. So this is kind of like your bog standard. This is very easy to find in the early game if you want, a consistent, 7, 8 win builds, with sometimes getting your 10 wins. This is kind of going to be your go-to. So we want to start with things like aerial turret and Kara, and then we want to hunt for private runabout, and then from there our best enabler when we transition into the mid to late game is going to be vortex cannon with skyliner as a backup. So basically our endgame board basically revolves around these three heavy hitters, which is just, it's very reliable. The build doesn't scale all too well though, so it's not amazing. Vortex cannon can be quite slow, but like you can get some high rolls. It's not all bad, but when you start getting to higher ranks, 8 wins can actually cost you rating, because you have to have a nigh perfect rating when you get really high up. So yeah, and then now we kind of transition into the rest, which is what Little Monk believes is the best build for Stelle, and it's all centers around tools. So it all comes down to basically one item, which is the hanger. It's basically like the library, but better. So the cooldown increase makes it the best counter to, like one-shots like Money Tree, or like loops like the Sampler Mac, Atmospheric Sampler, the new item. So hanger, he thinks, is the number one Stelle card, and yeah, I would absolutely agree. It is just a better library at this point. Like the cooldown, it's more impactful for Stelle's items, and it has more of a tax on the enemy's items as well. And it's like tool builds on Stelle are quite flexible as well. Like you're not locked into anything necessarily. There's a lot of different options. So now we kind of go down the different specific tool builds. We've kind of talked about why they're good and the one item that all these are kind of going to be centered around. So like what decisions are we making at nodes, events, and shops? So basically, we essentially have early pressure with turrets and quick weapons with our all flying build. And we kind of have the fly stop loop, so balloon engine and free fall combos. It was strong before the hotfix, but it's capped a little bit now. And now we have like the tool path, basically, which is what we're going to talk about for the rest of the video. So the early toolpath kind of looks like buying small tools and refreshing Mattel and Ayla for Molten Ball Blaster. That's a big, it's a great early item. And Stelle's like pool isn't huge, so finding the Molten Ball Blaster is basically guaranteed. Like she's only got just over 100 items rather than everyone else with all the expansions. So free jungle tools, pyro lighters, and like daily toolbox rewards basically make this setup pretty easily. And once we have all those small tools plus Molten Ball Blaster, our early game is pretty much set, and we can start banking like our gold for pivots. And Stelle's upgrade rewards gives 2 gold per tool, so that's way more gold early, which is also massive. Like especially when we're going to be building out this build and we're going to be pivoting as well. So pivoting, once we're stabilized early with tools, we've got a couple of strong pivot options. We have Weather Machine and Steam Hose, so the ceiling of this is very, very high because it's a semi-freeze build basically. So if we do lose some matches early and we're looking for a late game victory, so with the minus 1.5 seconds from Hanger, we can basically get a perma freeze with the Weather Machine. And if we're lucky enough, like a Radiant Chant basically just makes our whole board immune to freeze or slow. So the pivot to this is quite smooth. Steam Hose is also a tool, and it's got high like base burn. So it's basically pretty easy to sub out Molten Ball Blaster for this. And obviously you can combo it with Fire Hose for really strong scaling early. Well, the machine is also Silver Plus now, so we can find those items very early as well. Or even day one if we do get the Get a Slow Item node. And then obviously, if we get the Snowstorm skill, you can try and like an alternative build with the Lightning Rod. That's what it does get super crazy. Because obviously if we're running a single weapon build with Lightning Rod, we just stack a bunch of damage on it, because when we freeze, our weapons gain 30 damage for the fight. Pill Buggy. So this one's all about crit shields. So like a 200 shield Pill Buggy can crit like absolutely massively. You know, when we have something like Expert Pilot as well, like we're going to be scaling our crit, and every haste trigger on it becomes an extra like 1,200 damage when we get down to it. So like it can get really huge really quickly, and then when we get some charge on it as well, it can get a little bit crazy. So yeah, it can get kind of busted. Now we just kind of have to play it with quick haste triggers like low roller. It is like goggles you can also play. Like toolbox is a really reliable way to grab a goggles, and a flare gun also works well just to lower its cooldown, because it does have a relatively high cooldown. Obviously toolbox isn't the only reason for the pill buggy being a great option. And I guess we'll talk about the rest of the options and kind of see why it's so good. So this next one kind of might be the only build that we can replace the hanger with, like with workshop. Workshop doesn't feel as good, because it doesn't actually counter your opponents. Like you are benefiting your own board, but it doesn't actually hinder your opponents in any way. So we can see on the screen here that there's a big overlap with the previous pill buggy pivot. And basically we've combined together to form a strong like pivot option essentially for this. And now, well, from what we can see here, we're basically creating a loop with the steam washer. And so basically we just kind of put our pressure heater in between the torch and molten ball blaster for improvement basically. And like we can see here, it just, when we have like a blow torch in our small tools package and we find the pressure heater before the steam hose, basically we just sub that out. We just put the pressure heater in between the torch and molten ball blaster basically. And like if we look a little bit closer, so all those key items, so like pill buggy, heater, washer, and low roller, steam hoser, and even molten ball blaster are mediums, which means basically we have a perfect idea of like which merchant is worth a visit, right? That's kind of all the builds. Like we kind of have we know what our main path is. We know it's tools. Tools are really, really good right now. We like the all flying build is great. It's consistent, but it is limited. Tool builds are even more consistent, and it has multiple pivot paths that basically keep us winning in the late game. So Little Monk hit a 22 game win streak using exclusively tool builds, until he actually ended that streak on an all flying build with 8 wins. So and he also says, as a dually main, he says please nerf weather machine because it makes dually unplayable. And yeah, that's it. That's the whole Stelle guide. I hope you guys found it useful. Little Monk is an absolute madman. He makes pretty interesting content. Obviously, it is in a different language, but it is on a different platform as well. So if you're looking for his stuff, it won't really be on YouTube. He did do a card reveal, but he doesn't primarily stream on YouTube. But yeah, that's the video. Like, subscribe, drop a comment down below if you guys enjoyed. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.